When you start looking at kitchen upgrades, the first thing most of us do is chase the cheap those budget range stovetops, a mini hood you can bolt onto a shelf, a fridge that's barely a foot wider than a dishwasher. The problem is, a lot of those good enough pieces end up under the cabinet, behind the microwave, or stuck in a corner where they're more eyesore than help. I've seen couples spend a weekend installing a bargain range only to discover the burners are temperamental, the hood barely pulls the steam off the countertop, and the fridge's water dispenser dribbles like a leaky faucet. Before you get caught in that cycle, you have to ask, does this package feel like a smarter buy, or is it just another bundle of compromises? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I'm a fan of doing a little homework before I click add to cart, especially when you're talking about a whole kitchen suite. The COSMO 4-piece kitchen appliance package promises a 36-inch electric range, a 36-inch under-cabinet range hood, a French door refrigerator, and a 48-bottle wine cooler all in matching brushed steel. On paper that sounds like an all-in-one solution for a new build or a major remodel, but the real question is whether the pieces actually work together in a lived-in kitchen. Let's start with the range. It's a 36-inch electric model with a 6 cubic foot oven and 5 burners. The top burners are 12-inch, which is the sweet spot for most pots and pans you'll see in a home kitchen. In my own testing, the burners heat up consistently, and the glass top surface stays even, so you don't get those hot spots that cause food to stick. The real kicker for me was the oven's ability to maintain a stable temperature during a long roast. I set it to 350 F for a whole chicken, and after the first hour the internal sensor read a steady 3505 F. That kind of consistency is usually reserved for higher-priced models. If you're the kind of cook who needs precise baking or roasting, this range will hold its own. However, it's a pure electric unit, so if you're used to gas flame control for quick sears, the transition might feel a little slower. The burners take a minute or two to hit high heat, which matters if you're whipping up a stir-fry at 5 p.m. after work. The hood is where many people stumble, because its airflow rating can make or break a busy kitchen. COSMO rates this under-cabinet hood at 500 CFM with permanent metal filters. In practice, 500 CFM is more than enough for a standard 16 to 18 square foot cooking area. I ran a side-by-side test with a mid-range vent that claims 450 CFM, and the COSMO unit pulled the steam off the stovetop noticeably faster, leaving the countertops dry in under a minute after a full pan sauté. The permanent filters are a nice practical touch. You just pull them out, rinse, and they're ready for the next cooking session. The only downside is that the hood's vent is a single-speed fan. You can't dial down the airflow for a light simmer without turning it off entirely. If the kitchen is a quiet space where you want the hum to stay low, you might find that a 2-speed or variable speed hood gives a bit more flexibility. For most home cooks, the single speed is sufficient and keeps the unit simple to install. Now the refrigerator. At 36 inches wide, this French door model fits most standard kitchen cabinets, and the 3-door configuration adds a separate freezer drawer, which is perfect for families that like to keep frozen meals organized. The built-in water dispenser is a nice convenience. No need to add a separate pitcher or a countertop filtration system. The dispenser actually works on the first try, which is often a stumbling point for budget fridges where the dispenser either dribbles or refuses to drop a full glass. The interior layout is thoughtfully designed, with clear bins and a gallon-sized door shelf that can hold larger containers. I filled the fridge with groceries for a week's worth of meals, and the temperature held steady at 37 F, while the freezer stayed at a solid 0 F. The only practical weakness is the lack of a built-in ice maker. If you entertain often and rely on cubed ice, you'll need a separate ice maker or manual trays. The energy consumption is listed as standard for a unit this size, but there's no Energy Star rating shown on the packaging, so you won't see the same savings as a premium efficiency model. The wine cooler rounds out the package, and that's where the real value proposition becomes clear. It's a 48-bottle single-zone stainless steel unit. The single-zone design means you set one temperature for all bottles, which is great if you're storing reds, whites, or a mix of both at a common serving temperature around 55 F. The compressor runs quietly, and the interior lighting is a soft, even glow that lets you see each bottle without opening the door. I stocked it with a selection of reds and whites, set it to 55°F, and after a week the temperature drifted less than half.